With the latest round of changes, the 15-inch M3 MacBook Air is easily my go-to recommendation. Let's take a look at what Apple updated here and why I think this should be everybody's first choice when buying a new Mac. In March, Apple released a new version of the MacBook Air. It's actually today, if you're watching this video when it was uploaded. For the 13-inch MacBook Air, I feel like this was fairly overdue, but for the 15-inch MacBook Air, this has been less than a year since Apple introduced the 15-inch in June of 2023. The design, size, and ports did not change here in 2024, so as a refresher, the 2024 MacBook Air comes in both 13.6 and 15.3-inch sizes. These displays support the P3 wide color gamut, 500 nits of brightness, and True Tone. And yes, they have the notch. There's a lovely large trackpad, Apple's excellent signature slim keyboard with Touch ID built in, and a full row of function keys. Still Apple's MagSafe connector alongside two Thunderbolt 4 USB 4 ports on the left and a single solitary headphone jack on the right. The 13-inch model weighs in at 2.7 pounds, while the larger 15-inch version will tip the scales at 3.2 pounds. For comparison, the 14-inch MacBook Pro starts off at 3.4 pounds and goes all the way up to 3.6, depending on your configuration. As far as what is new on these laptops, I'm sorry, I hate to rudely interrupt myself in the middle of a video because I have more cool things to talk about. But before we get to them, I have to thank our sponsor for this video, iVANKY, that recently launched its FusionDock Max 1. It's designed exclusively for Apple Silicon Mac users and is the only dock on the market with a dual Thunderbolt connection. It is outfitted with 20 different ports, including plenty of USB-C, legacy USB-A, a fast 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, audio jacks, and HDMI. Here's one of my favorite things about it though, is I love how all of the USB ports are standardized in full speed. Sometimes you get ones that are like 10 gigabit or 5 gigabit and you have to pick and choose which ones you're connecting your peripherals to based on what you're doing. No, not with this hub. It's a similar story with the monitor situation. Personally, I use USB-C and HDMI for my monitors. Rarely ever DisplayPort. Yet, most other docks that I have reviewed include a DisplayPort connection on the back. iVANKY chose what makes sense for its actual users. Most Apple users are out there using USB-C and HDMI. I love that those are the options here. Plus, on the top of the line Mac, you can actually run 4 monitors at once with this thing. That's absolutely incredible and unheard of in this market. The whole dock is powered by 2 Thunderbolt chips on the inside, so you know this thing is not going to lag. And the dock floats in the air, which promotes good airflow to keep it cool while it's sitting on your desk. If you're like me and you want to upgrade your workflow, check out the iVANKY FusionDock Max 1. It's linked down below in the description as well as pinned in the comments. Now, let's go get back to the rest of the video. As I was saying, focusing on the internals, these are primarily a spec upgrade, bringing these up to date with Apple's latest processors, the M3. The M3 has an 8-core CPU, 4 high-efficiency cores, and 4 high-performance cores, and either an 8 or a 10-core GPU. Of course, it's a faster CPU and GPU, but the M3 delivers so much more. There's hardware-accelerated ray tracing and mesh shading. There's AV1 decoding, and a faster neural engine for on-device machine learning. Apple claims that these changes in the M3 make the new MacBook Airs the best consumer laptops for AI. If you want to see me investigate those claims further, drop me a line down below in the comments. Besides that boost of performance from the M3, there's also new support for external displays. You can support 2 external displays on an Apple Silicon MacBook Air for the first time. Kind of. When your laptop is open, you can connect an external 6K display, same as before. But when it's closed, in clamshell mode, you can connect a second external display. One being 6K and the second one being 5K. 2 displays is a huge win. You guys don't know how many times I've seen people write in, tweet at me, and comment in videos wanting second display support for the MacBook Air, and Apple has made it happen. Between developers, videographers like me, the amount of productivity that you can get out of your machine now has definitely increased by doubling that external real estate. Last among the new features, though, is support for Wi-Fi 6E for improved network performance. It's no Wi-Fi 7, but at least it's an upgrade here compared to the last generation. The new MacBook Airs still come in silver, space gray, starlight, and midnight. Midnight is absolutely my favorite color, and it's what I picked up here for the new M3 models. Apple did borrow its anti-fingerprint coating, though, from the space black MacBook Pros. When I compare it to my Midnight M2 MacBook Air that didn't have that coating, oh man, there is definitely a difference, and it looks so much better. With all of these improvements, combined with the form factor, the 15-inch M3 MacBook Air is hands down my recommendation for basically everybody out there. It strikes the perfect balance between portability, performance, and screen real estate. I know, you can make a case for upgrading to the 14-inch MacBook Pro, but the biggest benefits there are a technically better display and more ports. But most people aren't going to care about those things. Plus, the screen's a little smaller. Before these M3 models, it was an easier upsell to the Pro. The Pros had a newer chip and even much faster performance. But now that the 15-inch MacBook Air has the M3, that's just not the case. Unless you come at me and tell me that you are doing tons of gaming on a Mac, or you're editing a lot of high-resolution photos or videos, or something else that's just very intensive that requires an M3 Pro or M3 Max, you can bet your butt I'm going to be telling you to pick up a 15-inch MacBook Air in a heartbeat. If you can swing it, the extra $200 for 16 gigs of memory is probably a worthwhile investment, but otherwise, I would just focus on the amount of storage that suits your needs. Frankly, Apple should include more than 256 gigs of base storage, but I'm not here to gripe about things in this video. Maybe we'll save that for a future review. Honestly, I just love this form factor. I mean, the screen size is wonderful, and it's so thin and portable. It's amazing. I love it. So what about you guys? Is anyone else picking up a new M3 MacBook Air? Let me know which one down below in the comments. And if you are looking to pick one of these up, we've started to gather some deals and discounts for these brand new machines, and we've linked them down below in the description, so check those out. Otherwise, stay tuned and be sure you are subscribed to keep up to date with all of the latest Apple news.